Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled AND, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Our first coincidence miracle today has to do with another one of my visits to the public beaches in the summer of 2023. This was a glorious day, beautiful weather-wise, but the beaches were packed with people who were very interested in talking about God. As I've told you in prior shows, there are a lot of people on the planet Earth who have a lot of questions about God, and they want answers, and they don't know who to ask. So I just want to let the truth be known. If you think people are not believing in God, you might be right, but they want to know answers, and they can't find people with answers, which means they have to read a lot of books on their own in order to get the answers. I've been very blessed in my life. God has led me to teach Sunday school for 45 years, and that makes you do a lot of research. And when I was 24 years old, I decided, when I was 24 years old, I wanted to decide on my own, was there really a God or not, on my own. And I took summer courses through the summer at UConn on the history of religions and studied the history of religions to decide if I really wanted to be in a religion or not. So that's how I got started. And then when I investigated, and you start studying about God, you start getting miracles every day. If you're studying about God, you're going to start noticing miracles, I can assure you. Okay, so our sharing today is about a wonderful story. I went to the beach, and I dealt with 3 groups, 3 blankets. There were about 8 people per group. They all brought their blankets. These were, again, college people who were out for the summer, and they were meeting together. I don't know whether it was before they leave Connecticut and go back home, I guess. So there's a couple days at the end of college, when they end college for the season, there's a couple days where college students go to the beach and say their goodbyes for the summer season, and that's what I was meeting. So I was blessed because there were a lot of groups of college kids, and they wanted to have answers about God. They were afraid to ask anybody. You can always ask a stranger. You'll never see them again, so you don't get embarrassed. So that's why people don't ask about God, because they don't want to be embarrassed. To ask people that they know, like you ask your parents, you're embarrassed you don't know. They'll say, well, you went to school, you didn't cover that, or you read the book, So I don't give harsh answers, I just give answers. So again, steadily the college kids, they're kids to me because I'm 80 years old, but they were like maybe 24 years old. They want to know answers, and what helps them the most, and it's very simple. You just have to tell them Luke chapter 10, okay? So tell the college people to read Luke chapter 10 because it says there's only one thing necessary, all right? They want to get it condensed. What do I have to do? Read Luke chapter 10. It says all you got to do is keep talking to God. That's it. You keep talking to God and he'll keep teaching you. It's that simple. And then the book of John, chapter 10, verse 27, and book of John, chapter 14, verse 26. And they can just Google the Catholic Catechism. You don't have to be Catholic, but you can read something in the Catechism. So Google the Catholic Catechism, Articles 1776 to 79. 76, 7, 8, 9. That's four paragraphs. 1776 to 1779. 4 paragraphs. Takes you about 8 minutes to read. It'll convince you. You can talk to God and hear God anytime you want, okay? All right, so I had a magnificent day going because I spoke to 8 people per group on average, 3 or 4 groups just to get started that day. And these college people just ate it up. They asked questions and they got their answers and they're satisfied. They thanked me. They thanked me honestly from the core of their hearts because nobody ever gave them these answers. They can talk to God anytime they want. It's that simple. Just do that and he'll teach you everything. Look, John 14:26 in the Bible, here's what it says. John 14:26 says, the Holy Spirit will teach you all things. Let me say it again. It says, the Holy Spirit will teach you all things. So that's it. You just have to talk to the Holy Spirit of God, okay? And he'll teach you all things. All right, next thing, I met a man that day, amazing story. He said he was awakened at 3 o'clock in the morning one morning. He was awakened. And he was inspired. He didn't know at the time what the word inspired meant, but now he knows. He was inspired by God and got an idea to go get a Bible. He didn't have one. Buy a Bible, purchase one, and read it all. Read the whole entire Bible. That's what he got at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, he did. He read the whole Bible, even every tiny, minuscule footnote. He read the Bible and every footnote in it, and he said it changed his life forever. And he said he's now a personal friend and buddy of Jesus Christ, that they are buddies and close friends. And that's what St. Paul says too, right? St. Paul says that he and Jesus were one. And sometimes St. Paul said that he was speaking as Jesus, that he said, I speak to you as Paul, or it's Christ speaking through me. So St. Paul was good evidence that the Spirit of God dwells within each of us if we do what he tells us. If you don't do what God tells you, he's not living in you, he's dead in you. You don't give him any room, The only way God can live in you is you have to do what he's telling you to do. That's how God comes to life inside of you, because you let him use your body. Let me say that again. If you do what God tells you, then you're letting God use your body. And then you can say, God is living in me. It's no longer I. It's no longer me living. It's God living through me. That's what St. Paul says. St. Paul said that it's no longer I, but Christ who lives in me. And that's the goal of all Christians. Every Christian is supposed to be another Jesus because we're doing what he tells us to do. Okay? Okay. So this man, that's all he wanted to tell me. He loved my story. He said, more power to you. He said, it's great what you're doing. He said, my role was to read the Bible cover to cover, read every footnote, and I've become a friend of Jesus, and now I do what he tells me, just like you're doing. But that's how he got there, okay? So that's what you can do also. Get yourself a Bible, read the whole Bible, read all the footnotes, and do exactly what he did, and God will teach you too, okay? Or you want to do what I keep trying to say is read my books. I got 2 books. Use my website. It's all free. You can listen to the book for free. It doesn't cost you anything. We got a podcast, 240 weekly shows already recorded. You can listen to those. They're all 10 or 15-minute radio broadcasts. I encourage everybody, when you listen to the radio broadcast, just ask God to tell you which one to listen to. They're all numbered, 234, from number 1 to 234. Ask God what number to push. You push that number and listen. And many people tell me it's like Russian roulette. They pick the right number. So if you ask God what number to pick, he'll give you the one that's going to matter for you that day, okay? All right, and you can get there by Googling the title of our book and the title of our radio show. Just Google Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Again, Google Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. All right, let's see. Next thing. I was at another beach one day for 5 hours, and I was stressing many things to people. And I decided that I had to tell people, I was inspired by God, tell people to be sure they read in the Bible, the book of Mark, chapter 4, verse 15. Now let me say something to help you remember this, okay? In the United States, we pay our income taxes on April 15th. So you're never going to forget that, right? You don't forget. You have to pay your taxes by April 15th. Now just remember, that's the fourth month, number 4, April, and 15th day, okay? So remember two numbers. 4/15 really says that's the tax day. 4/15 is April 15th, right? Okay. Now just remember the sentence. Mark your calendar, 4/15. I'm going to say it again. Mark your calendar, 4/15. That means go to April and circle April 15th. That's what that means. Mark your calendar. Now you know the secret. The secret is this. In the Bible, you read the book of Mark. You read the book of Mark, chapter 4, verse 15. Okay, I hope you got it now. I wanted you to remember, you have to read in the Bible the book of Mark 4:15. I'm reminding you by saying, mark your calendar 4/15 to pay your taxes. And now you'll remember tax day really tells you to read the book of Mark 4:15. Why did I do that? I want you to remember Mark 4:15 because here's what it says. Jesus says, when my answer comes to you, when my word comes to you, not if, but when. So you ask God a question, he gives you the answer, and he says, when my word comes to you, the devil comes immediately to take it away. Okay, now that's very important for you to know. Everybody's got to know that because when you're talking to God and you ask him a question, he sends you the answer, but immediately the devil comes to take it away. It's like God throws you the basketball and you catch it, and then the devil tries to knock the basketball out of your hand. And Jesus said that's the way it's going to be. It's always going to be that way. God lets the devil exist, and that's a whole nother chapter, a whole nother story. Why? Read my book and you'll understand why God lets the devil exist. But the devil exists, and our goal is to listen to Jesus and not to listen to the devil. That's very simple. So we ask God, we listen to God, we don't pay any attention to the devil. But you got to know the devil's going to try to confuse you when God gives you an answer, okay? So I was telling college kids this, and they love it because they need to know that. Everybody talks about how, I should have done the first thing. The first thing was I was going to buy the blue car, but then my second thought was buy the red car, and I'm sorry I bought the red car. I was going to buy the green house, and I wound up buying the brown house, and I'm sorry I bought the brown house. Everybody says that because Jesus told you. When he gives you the answer, the devil's going to mess you up and confuse you, okay? Now, I got home that night after telling people at the beach this all day long. I got home that night. I sat down to have my supper. I turned the TV on. And when I turned the TV on, Pastor Robert Morris was on. He was already on. I just turned it on, and there he was. And he said the same thing I just told you. Robert Morris said the same thing. When God's answer comes to you, the devil's going to come immediately to take it away. And he quoted book of Mark 4:15, like I just told you. Mark your taxes 4:15. Book of Mark 4:15, okay? So what happened? I told people at the beach, I get home, I turn the TV on, and Jesus had Robert Morris confirm my coincidence miracle was Robert Morris just said the same thing, which proves that God wanted me to do that, okay? Please keep talking to Jesus every day. I'll talk to you next week. God bless you all.